We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
Hello, and welcome once again, everyone, to another fantastic Tuesday as we bring to you again the holiday season of Thanksgiving. Happy Valentine's Day. So this show is directed towards all of the loved ones. Again, love the loved ones, but equally important, love yourself. Love yourself, because if you love yourself, you will probably love each other even more. So happy Valentine's Day and welcome again to Tuesday, where we do what we do best, which is help you get financially secure, stable, well-balanced, well-rounded in the whole understanding that you got to do better. If you do better, again, you will benefit. There are so many avenues, resources, things that you can capitalize off of. And it's not shocking or mind-boggling or baffling, but you just, again, get in front of whatever it is that you want to get in front of. Start putting in a plan. Once you put in a plan, then execute it. Stay committed to your financial success. I'm telling you, the tidbits that we give here, the other things that you might get from the internet, social media, if you listen to Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse on her show here on Access Wealth Nation. I mean, there are so many ways to improve your financial well-being. The experts are knocking. I say it all the time. The experts are knocking. They are there. They want to help you. Obviously, double check, verify, hold accountable, because if you do those things, you will benefit. Success or sabotage? Which one is it going to be? You do have a choice, success or sabotage. Whichever one you want, please choose wisely. Success is going to be there for you. Sabotage is equally there too. Self-sabotage, not holding others accountable. That's another form of sabotage, but let's get out there. Let's do what we got to do. It's that important. It's that serious. So as always, I always ask you to go ahead and grab that device, send out 1 or 2 invites to someone. Let them know, hey, that guy's back on there. He's talking that stuff again. He's talking that talk. He's walking that walk. Get involved. Get yourself ready. This is 2023 recovery. And if you're ready, trust me, the experts are ready for you. And as always, we want to give a shout out to the creator, because without him, none of this would be possible. None of it. So I'm very, very grateful, very, very thankful, humbled that you give me the opportunity to talk to you about a subject matter that I am so engaged in and so well versed. And since I just said all that, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. The necessary conversation continues. And what we're going to be talking about today is, again, hobby or business. Are you running a hobby or are you operating a business? Which one is it? Running a hobby, operating a business? Because if you know the difference, it's going to help. It's going to help you significantly. Hobby or business. If it's a hobby and you're doing it and you want to turn it into a business, well, this is a great opportunity to do that as well. So you have a choice. And if you are right at that stage where you're like, I love the business aspect, the hobby aspect, but I want to start really separating the two entities, my personal and my business. I need to make sure that these two are completely separated. And then there's some laws that also come with that. I live in New York State, so I'll be talking about the New York State laws. And if those posters aren't up, if those minimum wage standings have not been met, businesses, be careful. If it's a hobby, you can kind of do what you want. Again, your accounting should be on point using QuickBooks and a lot of the various tools that are out there. It is tax season. Make sure that you're staying on top of that as well. So let's dive into, as we just said, let's talk about the necessary conversation, correcting the narrative. My name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the Dress Down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. And as I stated, it's all about your recovery. If you do just this much, just that much, and again, giving you this much information, but if you do that much, your recovery is going to be so much more fruitful and successful. You're going to benefit from all of what we're saying. All right. So it's not a resolution. It's a commitment and a contribution. Stay committed to what you said you're going to do. And the question is, are you operating a business or managing a hobby? Which one is it? You're going to have to decide. If you're doing it as a business, there are guidelines, structures, understanding that's going to allow for you to be profitable. If you are servicing or providing a goods, you have to decide business or hobby. If you're managing it as a hobby and there's just a little bit of gig economy money coming in, that's okay too. However you're doing it, it's perfectly fine. Just make sure, again, you're not throwing this money to the wind. As I tell everybody before, my understanding of my lane is credit. I focus desperately and honestly and sincerely on making sure that we all have the best credit profiles known to man, because we have Equifax Changing Experian that are not doing what they should be doing. So you have to make sure that you're doing your part. And business credit is a huge piece of making sure that you are successful. Because if you can get a 30-day or a 60-day or a 90-day where you don't have to pay, you can sell through that merchandise prior to, that's going to help you out tremendously, because you're able to replenish, get all the things that you need to be able to, again, have another successful month, have another successful week, have another successful year. It's completely up to you. But if you're managing it as a hobby, you can do with that money as you choose. It comes in, you go buy some sneakers, it comes in, you go buy some jeans, it comes in. You're just more or less just having fun with the money. That's why they call it a hobby. But you got to decide if you are hobbying it or do you want to business it. One way or another, you're going to have to make the decision. So welcome to 2023 Recovery. All right, so the necessary conversation around financial literacy continues, because financial literacy, believe it or not, that's the big umbrella. It covers so many pieces, that financial literacy. And I've asked my principals at various schools that I've had the opportunity to attend or even now work in, I've asked them, what's going on? Or why is it that we don't teach this in schools? Why don't we teach financial literacy? And the opportunities that I've had this year being in a high school, so thank you, Riverside High School here in Yonkers, for the opportunity that you have bestowed upon me. And the kids are responding. They're responding very favorably. They love the topic and they want to know more about it, but it's something that I only get to do in the fly. I only get to do in passing, because I am responsible for the design and draw area of what the requirements were for me to be in the school. But I still always make sure that I get in that financial literacy piece, because it's super important. So we're going to be talking about, again, what is a business? What is a hobby? Business or hobby. We're going to talk about some wages, hours in New York, the contact details, and then we'll hit it up with social media, because we always want you to stay connected. We always want you to reach out with your questions. That's what these are all for as well. Questions and answer sessions. Please put those questions in, whether you're watching through the YouTube understanding, or if you're watching through the Facebook understanding, or if you're watching right in whichever platform that allows for you to watch it. Those questions are vital. We know you have them. Stop sitting on them. Ask those questions. I'm going to tell you, if you ask those questions, we'll be able to answer them, and we'll get you back on that straight and narrow. So what is a business? A business is a legally recognized organization designed to provide goods or services or both to consumers, businesses, and governmental entities. And there you have it right there. It has to be in a legalized capacity. All right. A hobby is not in a legalized capacity. So that's the difference. There's some taxes. There's some other things that are going to be associated with it. There's a lot of pieces that come with making sure that you are actually operating a successful business, if that's what you want. I operate a home-based business, so my business is a little bit structured differently, which I've removed all of the elements of sole proprietorship, corporations, and LLC companies, because I want to make sure that once it gets set up properly, it's going to be done in the manner in which all elements of my business is going to be successfully taken care of, to where I don't have to worry about it. I can make sure that I can pay myself. I can make sure that I can pay employees. I can make sure that I can bring in all of the structural elements of that business to be very, 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 very successful. So what is a home-based business? Now, there is a little bit of a difference there. These are distractions at home. There could be distractions at home. So again, if you're operating a home-based business, you're inviting the public into your space. So some dogs can be barking, the children can be running around, but if you're going to do that, then that's equally okay too. But let your clients or whomever know, hey, I operate right from the living room. There might be a couple of disturbs, but don't let that become an impact upon your business if you're going to do a home-based business, or if you're going to venture out and find you a brick and mortar type of situation. Either way, you have to decide. It's not a hobby any longer. It's going to be classified as a legally recognized organization. That's the difference between a hobby and a business. You can work at any time at home. 6 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 o'clock, again, totally up to you and up to your clients. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs started off working from their garage. And that's the brilliance of business. If you think about Amazon, if you think about Microsoft, if you think about Nike, if you think about Adidas, if you think about a lot of these companies that are now major worldwide names, a lot of them started off in their garages. Did you know that Coca-Cola, in its very first year, how many bottles do you think they sold? And that's a great question, because I used to ask this to all my students. Oh, million, 200,000, 5 million, or whatever. 25. Coca-Cola sold 25 bottles in its first year. They could have easily said, oh, we are done. This is not a product that's going to work. We're completely done. Nope. They stuck it out. Resilience, perseverance. Well, there was a little bit of other substances that was put in there too to make it a little bit more addictive, but you get my point. They could have easily said, this is not for us. It's not going to work out. And they could have given up, but they didn't. They stayed with it. So regardless of what your idea is or what you may have as what you think your idea is, put it out there. There are resources. There are ways where you can capitalize. And now, because of the great resignation, there's a lot of experts out there who are sitting at home and not sure. There's a lot of gig workers who are doing the Ubers and the Lyft and the other various delivery services that might be available. Turn that into a business for yourself. Cleaning services. I mean, the service industry today could be the next gold mine for anyone who has a great idea. Do what you need to do, folks, because this is the time. Put your ownership of yourself back into where it needs to be. Because trust me when I tell you, I worked for corporate America for 30 years for 19 different companies. I just knew, as I stated before, I was going to be a CEO in somebody else's business. Didn't happen. I had to start my own business. And I'm very, very grateful for both the opportunities that corporate America has given me, and now even more grateful to the opportunities that clients are allowing me to have by being able to address some of their financial literacy needs. And it's working out. It's working out. A business that somebody runs from their home, again, is a home-based business. So business, an entity, again, an enterprising, same thing as a revenue-based entity. All right. It's making money. It's enterprising. It's making money, paying its taxes, paying its employees, paying its vendors, doing the exact same things that a business should be doing, engaged in commercial, industrial, or professional activities. All right, that's what a business is. Recognized legally, and it's a enterprising entity. So again, if you're doing as these definitions are more or less explaining, then you're operating a business. This is no longer a hobby. No longer a hobby. You got boodles of clients, you got a bunch of invoices, you got all of these things working, but you might not be operating it as a business because in your mind, it's still a hobby. And we got to change that mindset. So here's some types of business entities. Seek out the professional lawyers, legal individuals who can break down this portion for you. Are you going to be a sole proprietorship? Has only one owner or two that are married. Owners file one tax return instead of two separate personal and business returns. Personal assets are at risk if the business faces a lawsuit. So that's what this sole proprietorship means. You got to be careful. So check with the proper legal entities to make sure that you're setting up your business properly. If you're still doing it as a hobby, this does not apply to you. All right. But if you're deciding, hey, you know what? My hobby is really great and it's turning over some fantastic revenue and I need to get a car. Well, you can use your business to get a car. Or I need to get new office space, or I need a warehouse. I need these things because I'm tired of doing it out of my home and I need more room or more opportunities to grow the business. So the hobby is now a small little understanding and you want to grow it into something larger. So again, as I stated, check with the proper legal entities to make sure that you set up your business properly. Are you going to be a corporation? An independent legal entity that is separate from personal assets. You got to make sure you understand that. You're separating your personal assets. If you have a personal credit card and you use that personal credit card for a business expense or a business transaction, you're now setting yourself up for a potential hazard. And that hazard could come in a variety of different understandings. But again, if you're separating those assets, make sure that you want to pay yourself, put you on the payroll, pay yourself, and then get your income, put it into a separate entity, keeping those types of understandings completely separate because you do not want to find yourself at liberty because of the fact that you decided to make a huge mistake by not separating those two elements or assets. All right, corporation, an independent legal entity that separates from personal assets. AC corporation is the most common kind, and it is often complicated to set up. So even though it may be, please seek out the actual legal entities that can help you with setting up your corporation, if that's the route you want to go. Sole proprietorship, if that's the route you want to go, or a limited liability corporation. Limited liability, so LLCs are made up of one or more members. Offers liability protection when it comes to taxes. Members can choose to treat the company as a corporation or a pass-through entity. So there you just have a few of the items that legal entities can help you set up. Find a law firm, find someone who is specific in that area that can walk you through the particulars of making sure that your business is set up properly. And then make sure, again, that you're not intertwining any of those assets. Keep your pay separate. Do not pay yourself from business accounts and then use those business accounts as your personal piggy bank. That's not how you're supposed to operate that. If you're going to pay yourself, make yourself an employee, pay yourself, have that deposited into your own separate account, but do not use your business accounts for personal usage. It's going to set you up for failure, and that's not what you want. All right, so what is the meaning of the word business? Purposeful activity, busyness. Makes perfect sense. I'm busy doing what I need to be doing. Just that simple. The original meaning of business related to the state of being busy, either as an individual or society as a whole, doing commercially very viable and profitable work. All right. That's it. That's what a business is. You keep yourself busy with whatever the elements may be. I'm a credit guy, and I hope that I'm keeping myself busy when I help a client sit them down. I sit them down, I explain what they need to do as far as their free consultation. Once they have that free consultation, then we dive right into the work of breaking down and analyzing their credit profile. Once we break down and analyze that credit profile, we give them the state of their credit. At the state of their credit, they're going to decide, hey, am I moving forward or am I going to stay and use a little bit more time to analyze what I've just been given? If they're like, hey, you know what, I already know I need to do it, so let's go ahead and get the ball rolling, then we get the ball rolling. If they say, hey, you know what, I got to talk this over with the missus, or I got to talk this over with the mister, or I got to talk this over with my significant other, they're going to do that, and then they're going to get back to us. And we just, again, keeping oneself busy, purposeful activity, busyness. People are sometimes not so sure about what business is. Therefore, it becomes pertinent to consider understanding the term. They do not know that businesses are formed by identifying a problem with a niche and solving that problem. Credit was and is a problem for 60 to 70% of the population. They do not have sufficient credit. The working poor and the middle class do not have sufficient credit. So that's the niche. The African Americans, Hispanics, poor whites and middle class whites, poor Asians and middle class Asians, poor Middle Easterns and middle class Middle Easterns. Again, you all fall into the same category. Your politics might be different, but you still fall into that same category. You're poor or you're middle class, and you haven't been properly educated on the need of what credit can do for your life. That's the niche. Solving the problem is walking you through the particulars of how do you increase and make sure that you're on a rocket versus being on a roller coaster. All right. Yes, credit is a rocket. Credit is not a roller coaster. Cash is king, but credit holds conversations. Remember that. All right. Cash is king, but credit holds conversations. So that's how we service a niche, and we also solve the problem of that niche. That's what a business is. If you are doing something similar, not to what I'm doing, but something similar to that definition, then you are already operating a business. So you might want to think about changing that hobby into a business. Or if you like the hobby element of it, where you have a lot more freedom and flexibility, by all means, keep it as a hobby. All right, businesses can be referred to as a occupation, profession, a trade, or well as a commercial activity that involves providing goods and services in exchange for profit. There, again, goods and services in exchange for profit. Foot Locker provides goods. They have shoes. They have an abundance of shoes, flip-flops and clothing and all kinds of stuff. They have workers, and those workers provide a service. I used to work for a couple of Foot Lockers. Matter of fact, I opened up quite a few Foot Lockers in Germany, and it was a true blessing to see how they start from the ground floor in a empty building, and then you build it up to whatever capacity that you want, and then you put all of the designs and all your merchandising so brilliantly designed and strategically put together so that almost every Foot Locker you walk in, whether you're in Germany or whether you're in the United States, they pretty much all are identical because they want to give that uniform look. And then their referees, who are their workers. I mean, the concept is brilliant. It was a brilliant concept, and it's still today doing a fantastic job. But again, they are providing a goods and they're providing a service. Look at your Walmarts, look at your Targets, look at your Sam Clubs, look at all of the big boxes. And I'm really saddened that Toys R Us is no longer here. Toys R Us, I'm baffled at the fact that a toy store would go out of business during the most important times of where a toy store could have been super profitable. They just missed the opportunity of changing their idea of brick and mortar business to a online understanding. Or maybe they were just tired. Don't know. But I know that if I was the owner of Toys R Us, or if I was shareholders of Toys R Us, I would be hugely and seriously disappointed that their goods and their service, which were in exchange for profit, got lost in all of the social media noise or in the internet age. But if you are, again, operating a home-based business, you got even more opportunities with the social media platforms that are out there. If you are operating a hobby and you want to turn that into a business, again, the social media elements and all of the technology that is now available for you, the wealth is not a problem. It's not. If you want to be wealthy, you can be wealthy. And here's how you're going to do that. Profit in business are not necessarily money. It is also a benefit in any form, like reputation and value, which is acknowledged by a business entity involved in business activity. Again, I am wealthy with knowledge. Not quite there yet with the wealth that I would love to see, but that's on its way, and it takes time. Sometimes you have to go a couple of rounds to get to that where you want to be as far as the monetary wealth. But I'm super wealthy when it comes to the abundance of knowledge that I know about credit, that I know about the Social Security aspect of why it's so important, that I know about the laws that protect us, the consumer acts. I know the entities that literally help us with making sure that they enforce those. I pay attention to Congress. I pay attention to all of the detailed items, even the new laws that come every single year, so that when you have a question or a concern, I'm your resource. Doctor friends and people who are way more advanced in those areas of finance come to me for credit advice. And that, for me, makes me an aficionado, someone who is the authoritative body. So the Dress Down CEO, I'm your guy. I'm the one who can help you. And as Erykah Badu always says, call Tyrone, because we can get you through whatever it might be when it comes to that credit. All right. But we're talking about, as I stated, are you operating a hobby or are you managing a business? Which one is it? You're going to have to decide. And there are some tidbits right there of how you can more or less structure. Wow, you know what? My hobby should be operating a little bit differently than what it is operating. If you're still using an Excel spreadsheet and you're not using the, there's a platform out there that I can't think of it right now, but not WordPro, QuickBooks. If you're not using QuickBooks or something similar to QuickBooks, again, another opportunity for you to decide, well, my hobby is doing well on this Excel spreadsheet. Let me see what happens if I put it into the QuickBooks format or another platform that is like the QuickBooks format. There's so much that you can do. You just have to decide. Get out your way, start cutting out time frames to do these things. You got to make that time now, people. Got to make it. Next 2 years are going to be super critical. And we'll talk about that way as the year continues. We're just in we're just in month 2. And we're in the middle of month 2, Black History Month. So all of our understandings about Black history, which I'll be doing a show prior to Black History Month concluding, as to how well did we do this month. Did we talk enough about the importance of our contributions and the many contributions that our ancestors have given? I did a show in the beginning of the month or just before Black History about Martin Luther King's version of our financial message that he left for us. And it was really empowering. So I hope you go back and you review that show. So what is a hobby? A hobby is usually a passion of yours. It is an activity that makes your heart beat faster and brings a smile to your face. That's what credit has been for me. A smile. When you can take someone who's got a 24% and tell them, have you ever negotiated with your credit card company? What? You can do that? Absolutely, you can do that. Have you ever called Equifax TransUnion Experian challenged an item? Because dispute is not the proper word to say. Dispute means I didn't do it. So there's some definition understandings that you really equally got to know as well. The verbiage, the lingo is different in business and in personal aspects in life. We don't know what we should know. And that's why you have people like me who know what we should know so that you don't have to do all the heavy lifting. I don't mind doing the heavy lifting. I love that aspect of what I do. I'm just here to make sure that you know what I do and that you can follow up and you can do your research, and then you can come back and you can say, hey, you know what you told me was spot on. I'm benefiting from it. I'm seeing me getting off the roller coaster, and I see me now on that rocket. So again, puts a smile to your face, makes your heart beat faster. Even if you have clients already who pay for your labor, it's possibly still a hobby. You may render your services to client or to customers from time to time, but maintain your own schedule and enjoyment of the process. So however you're operating this hobby, if that's how you like it, you can keep doing that. That's perfectly fine. No problem. It's just putting money in your pockets. Hopefully you're investing that money. Hopefully you have other avenues that are you're seeing the ROI. That's the return on your investment. If you're not seeing that, then you're blowing a lot of that cash, or you're blowing a lot of that credit card. Hopefully you are putting that on a credit card, because again, what sense does it make to make money and not have the ability that would grow your business financially when it comes to your credit understanding? And if you're just throwing this money into a bank and only getting 0.2 or 0.3 in your checking, you might want to reconsider how your hobby is actually turning over a profit for you as well, because you're probably giving a lot more back to the places that you're buying your goods and services from. You're probably giving a lot more back to the bank that won't give you a credit card because you're not doing any credit transactions. You could be doing so much more, even with your hobby, and your hobby can set you up ideally for that next phase of turning it into a business. All right, a hobby is a synonym for passion. It is an activity, literally anything that makes your heart beat faster and brings a smile to your face. All right, it's not that hard to understand this. You take photos or produce pottery. The key points in this definition is pleasure. You're having fun doing this. Fun. And if it becomes a chore, then it's not fun any longer. It's not a hobby any longer. It's something that you have to stop. So find things that you truly like and you're engaged in, create it as a hobby at first, and then see, is there a way where you can monetize that hobby? And a lot of you are already doing it. Hairdressers, individuals who are working independently from home, seeking out a shop. You can't get a shop, but you could probably get a location in a shop to grow your hobby, turn it into a business. Again, making sure that you're accounting, using the proper tools to keep these entities separate. And if you're going to pay yourself, make sure you deduct it from what revenue you bring in and put that into a separate account. Do not mix your business spending with your personal spending. That's the biggest takeaway that you can have and understand if you're going to go down that business route. If you're doing it as a hobby, you can intertwine the two. But again, you should be now considering, is there a possibility that I can take that and turn it into a business? All right. So hobby versus business requires consistency than a hobby. That's a business. If it requires more consistency than a hobby, that is a business. You are dependent on your client's needs. That's a business. That's not a hobby. You're dependent on them. A hobby is, well, you know what? Susie came, but she didn't. Now, you know, it's okay. John came, but he didn't. It's okay. And that's the way I had to go back and think about the process in which I was doing. Because I was like, well, if the client pays me this week or not, you know, it's not the end of the world. I still have resources. No, that's not how you think about a business. So I was running my business for the large portion of as a hobby. And now I've restructured, put it all into perspective. And now I'm operating a full-on business. So I will be seeking out the legalities that, again, solidify, make it concrete so that I am able to pay myself, bring in employees, find the goods and services that I need, be able to go to pop-up shops and all of these other events that are going to be coming up through the next year. And I'm super excited. I'm super excited about what the next 2 years under the leadership of President Biden, as well as the Republican leadership as well. McCarthy, you have some opportunities to do some good things. You're probably not, but still, if I take care of what I need to take care of, there's going to be more than enough resources out there. So I don't really need the president, nor do I need the Republicans. As long as I do what I need to do for me, there's the resources already out there. I just needed to make sure that I'm not hobbying it, that I'm actually focusing on a business. And I want you guys to do the exact same thing. Might bring a lot of joy. That's a business or a hobby. If you enjoy what you do, that's love. That's passion. That's oh my goodness, I get up every morning and go to school because I love being able to educate children. It's not a business. I'm an employee, but the business of education, I can take that and I can go anywhere with it. I can do anything with it. But it's having the clients. The clients are my students who I get to talk to on a regular basis about whatever the academic setting that I'm in and how I can stimulate that brain and make them think a little bit more about, wow, this is preparation stage, K through 12. If we do what we need to do, we're going to send into the world fully versed and well-rounded consumers and also entrepreneurs and future leaders, doctors, lawyers, police officers, firefighters, nurses, teachers, politicians. Again, if we do what we need to do now at that early stage of life, they're going to be fine. Requires time and effort. That's a business and a hobby. But here's the difference between the hobby. It is something you do for pleasure. You do it strictly for the pleasure of being able to see a smile on somebody's face, see someone walk away going, hey, you know what? Thanks to you, I was able to do that. I'll see you soon. Don't worry about it. Okay, no problem. And you give discounts and you do things completely different than what a business structure does. You might have clients ready to pay for your work. Yes, that's always a good thing to have. But again, is it something that you're writing down in a ledger? Is it something that you're actually putting into QuickBooks? A different understanding of how you're operating that business. And is your passion. If you can turn that passion into a business, why aren't you? That's what I'm saying. Why aren't you? All right. So what is the meaning of the word hobby? Hobby makes your life brighter and more enjoyable. Most people think of hobbies as an exciting pastime and consider their job dull money, making necessities. All right. So again, if you don't like your job, but your hobby is doing it for you, maybe you might want to step away from it and put more focus into that hobby and then turn that into a business. All right. If your job is that meaningless and you're like, you dread every single day, but you love your hobby, reconsider. All right. Don't just jump ship. If that's you have enough resources to do that, by all means, do it at that point. But don't just jump ship. Don't give up something that's guaranteed money or guaranteed insurance or guaranteed whatever it is. You just don't like it. Well, you have to find some way of making the best out of it until you're able to transition equitably. All right. Got to make sure you do it properly, because if you do it properly, then there won't be any hard times or there won't be any delays in that profitability. But the good news is that you can combine both and transfer your life by making your hobby into a lucrative enterprise. People are sometimes not sure about, again, the business. Therefore, it is pertinent. I'm saying it again. It is pertinent to consider understanding these terms. If you do, your business is going to be successful. All right. You're changing from that hobby understanding, which is a niche. You're solving a problem. Okay. You're exchanging goods and services in exchange for profit. All right. Those goods and services are not always money. Your reputation could be elevated. You could become the aficionado. All right. The value in what you bring could be exponential. You're servicing your clients in your neighborhood or in your school. Look at eBay. All right. When Jeff Bezos thought about eBay, I think it was Jeff Bezos. Yes, Jeff Bezos. He was selling books to his school friends. They were doing the exchange on the campuses of books. Look at eBay now. Now it's not as big as Amazon. eBay kind of went to the sideline. But again, still doing what it needs to be doing. It was the prominent, but as with all things, there's something bigger and better that comes along. That's okay. That's how business works. Something bigger and better comes along and it surpasses that other item. But should you give it up and throw it away? No, I just heard last week there was one Blockbuster somewhere in the Midwest or on the West Coast, but one Blockbuster still. One Blockbuster. There used to be 9,000 Blockbusters. But Blockbuster, again, like Toys R Us, missed that social media. They missed that element of surprise when the internet took over. Blockbuster should have had the ultimate streaming situations going on. Why they didn't, or maybe hey, you know what? Maybe Blockbuster could have been renamed Netflix or Netflix or however it's pronounced. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Again, however one chooses to say it. All right, so business hobby. Have you started your own small business, but you don't know how to treat your business not like a hobby? You want to treat it like a business, but you're scared. And it's okay. It's normal. Find a professional legal entity that can walk you through, even reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to walk you through some of the particulars. Plus, we have the other experts that we can pass you off to help make sure that you set it up properly. You're never going to be by yourself when you're working or when you're deciding to do business with Leverage Credit Recovery, or even if you're deciding to not do business with us. We'll never leave you alone. These are the hand-holding times where we have to do for our community. We definitely have to do for self. We have to do for family, but it's equally important that we do for communities. You don't know the power of statistics. When information, that whether it goes to Congress or whether it goes to the CFPB, that information is being compiled. Stats are being compiled. And then from those stats, what they do is they break it down by zip code. 10701 is the zip code in which I live in. But there's other zip codes that go up to, if I'm not mistaken, 10. So that would be 10710. But again, if 10701 had 200,000 people that were inquiring about a particular understanding, that understanding would have some stats. It would be broken down into, well, how many African Americans, how many Hispanics, how many Caucasian, how many Middle Eastern, how many Asian, how many others. It's going to be broken down, and then there's going to be some input into whether or not that's a viable understanding that needs to be serviced. There you have it, hobby business. I just put it to you in the most simplest form known to man. If you treat your business like a hobby, you'll only get hobby-like income. But treat it like a business and you will make business income. Okay? There you have it. Which one do you want? Hobby will get you something. You probably won't have all the proper understandings of how that hobby is going to get you what you need. But if you decide to say, hey, you know what? I'm done with the hobby piece and I'm ready to really ramp it up. I'm ready to really take this to the next level. Then you're going to start seeing some of that business income come in. If anybody wants any of these slides that I do on a weekly basis, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to share these with you and give them to you. All right. Here's some of the data understanding. 55% admit they would like to turn a hobby into a side business, but they are too scared to take the leap. Don't be scared, folks. Don't. I'll be your number one advocate and your cheerleader. You should have your own cheerleaders already at the household, but if you and they don't see eye to eye on what you would like to do, reach out. I'll be more than happy to support you and give you all the guidance that I can give you. It's overdue time. If you are African American, if you are Caucasian, if you are Hispanic, if you are Middle Eastern, if you are part of that group that I just broke down earlier, which is the poor, working poor, or the middle class, and you have a niche, what are you waiting for? Also, a hobby can also be seen as a side hustle. The average side hustle is working on for 16 hours a week. That's not a lot. But if you can turn that 16 hours into hundreds or if not thousands of dollars, nearly 42% of side hustles surveyed say they would like to grow their side hustle into a business because it's that lucrative. People are still in need of services. And if you have something that fulfills a niche, why not take it from a hobby, put it into a legal understanding of operating a business. Ensure your side business is something you enjoy. All right, if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Focus on tasks that generate revenue. Build a strong social media presence. Set long-term goals. Leverage word-of-mouth marketing and network with people who run side businesses. So I got my business cards always on me. I keep some in my book bag. I'm always being able to, here you go, 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 letting people know. I also invest it in making sure that I have very sturdy conversational business cards. Don't get these little flimsy things that people don't remember. When a person gets my business card, it's like, wow, this is really unique. And then you got some catchphrases on the back, something that also sparks their interest. Again, you're the business. You are the business until the business becomes the entity that you want it to be. So you got to make sure that you're doing all of these understandings. If you're still, again, doing it as a side hustle, have business cards as well. Also, equally, have a social media presence. It only helps. And then when that starts growing, and when it starts growing even more, and when it starts growing even more, then you're going to have to look at, hey, you know what? I might need some help. And once you notice that you need help, that means it's now time to transition it from a hobby to an actual business. There are elements of a business that you're also going to make sure that you definitely do. Once the scale of the orders and the workflow increases, a hobby gradually transforms into a business. Just that simple. How can you tell that you're already a business person and not a hobbyist anymore? Hobby business transformations are dedicating consistently more time to your hobby. That means that you are in it, and that hobby has generated some real good feedback, and it's generated some real good monies or revenue, but now you need to turn that into a legal recognized entity. Following the clients in leads instead of your own inspirations. The clients are dictating what they want. And as long as you can meet those understandings, those expectations, you're on your way. You're full on your way to having a business and no longer operating a hobby. Getting official licenses for these activities is needed. As I said earlier in the onset of this conversation, making sure that you have gone to the legal entities that can help you set up your business, ideally to prevent any losses, to prevent any conflicts, to prevent any legal issues that might come back and haunt you because you're still not operating it successfully. You need someone who can, again, hold that hand and make sure that you are not jeopardizing the success by intertwining your resources. So it's really important to understand that. And then hire an accountant to manage finances and pay taxes. Your business is so important that you don't want to find yourself in a tax situation. So as you're taking in invoices, again, have a tax professional, that person there who can say, hey, you know what? This is what you made. Take this and put that over here so that it will pay for your taxes. It's not really that hard. It's just understanding, hey, I got this much. How much of that much that I make in revenue and with all of the other tax liabilities that come with operating a business, what do I need to pull out, put over here? So if in case I need to pay my taxes, or not, if you need to pay your taxes, you're going to be needing to pay your taxes. There's no if in that. So let me rephrase that. You're going to pay taxes, bottom line. And you should always break even. If you're looking for a big return, no, that means you didn't use enough of your money. And if you owe the government, again, that means the government didn't do what it needed to do to make sure that you are paying your effective and full share of taxes. These signs may seem dreadful for some hobby lovers, since this change brings the risk of losing the sense of fun and fulfillment from doing what you like. However, if you're hearing this, you probably decided to turn your hobby into a successful business project anyway. I'm talking primarily to our Black-owned businesses, Black-owned hobbyists, talking to our Hispanic businesses and our Hispanic hobbyists. I'm talking to our Caucasian brothers and sisters, our Middle Eastern, our Asian. Again, if you reside in that working poor and middle class structure, this is all for you. But as I stated, primarily I'm talking to my African American Black business owners. There are some legalities that come with operating a business, and New York State has a minimum wage 2022 to 2023. If you're unsure, every office should have one of these postings up in their offices. So it's important to know what the minimum wage is. It's equally important to know that there are postings as well as labor laws. If you are turning your business turning your hobby from a hobby into a business, you need to make sure that you are following all of the federal and state guidelines. The Fair Labor Standard Acts, FLSA, and the New York labor laws require all employers in New York State to visibly display and approve New York minimum wage poster. All right, so this is not, I think I'm going to. No, you got to have this somewhere up so that if you are changing your hobby into a business and you are bringing on employees, they need to know that you're paying them properly. And don't get into the back and forth with your employees. Do what you need to do because they're your number one resource. You treat your employees properly, they're going to make sure that your business is successfully. As I stated, 30 years for working for corporate America. And the number one thing that I always made sure that I did was take care of my people. That's it. There's no getting around it. Whether we were in a union or whether we were not in a union, whether I had to deal with HR or not deal with HR, I went to bat for my people because they work for me. They work for me. They work for this company, but they work for me. And our numbers were always through the roof. Because you take care of your people will deliver for you. You make sure that they will deliver. No matter what. Take care of your people, take care of your employees, make sure that they know that they are pride and joy of this business, and they will go above and beyond. Don't do it. And I'm sure you may have seen some of those TikToks or Instagrams where people are getting on the loudspeakers at their place of employment and saying, this job, I'm out of here. You, Susan, and you, Mary, and you, John, and you, James, you all blank because you never did X, Y, and Z. That's a horrible way, but a good way of letting a company know you suck and you need to do better. But as I stated, I'm one who always made sure that those employees were first and foremost and that their families were equally and a priority for my or any entity that I work for to be successful. So make sure you got these postings up. Make sure that you understand the required laws. If you work overtime, did you know that in New York, you're supposed to get $21.30 an hour? If you work over 40 hours, again, you need to know these things if you're going to change that hobby into a business. And also equally, if you are already, these laws changed in 2023. All right, so it's really important to understand the work exemptions. If you do not have these posters up, you're going to find yourself in a serious situation. You're going to find yourself not meeting the standards of what a business is supposed to be doing, and that's not going to be good. So make sure, again, you reach out to the legal entities that are going to protect your business. And for more details, read about the New York State tips minimum wage as well, because there's a lot of things that changed from 2022 into 2023. And as 2023 comes to a close, these laws are going to equally be changed into 2024. And 2024 is going to be an exciting year because that's the year of where we're going to be more than likely seeking another presidential understanding. So if we do what we need to do in 2023, all the way into 2024, by the time we get to November, I'm going to hear a lot of success stories, and that's what I'm actually looking to see and hear. All right, so here's a couple of more other little understandings about that posting that you must have up in your office if you're going to change your hobby into a business and you're going to bring in employees. And even if you don't bring employees, still going to be a requirement that you have these postings. All right, still going to be a requirement. Once you come from a hobby understanding and you decide, hey, I'm going to be a sole proprietor, I'm going to be a LLC, I'm going to do whatever it's necessary to gain the legal statuses of being a business, you're still going to need these work rules and requirements posted somewhere in that facility. All right. It's just, again, it's a lot of understandings. There's some frequently asked questions, but you can go to as I stated, the state labor law representative if you have any questions about what and how to make sure that you get the proper postings for your now hobby turned into a business. All right. So there you have it, folks. That was how we do it, how we get you to understand, do I have a hobby or do I have a business? Am I going to take my hobby from that hobby and turn it into a business? And if I am, what are the steps? What are the requirements? I gave you a quick 101 on the importance of, is it a hobby, passion, love, smile on my face, or is it a business that needs to be tailored properly so that you can gain the full understanding of how that business runs successfully without compromising your profits or your success? You don't want liabilities. You're either an asset or you're a liability. Which one is it going to be? So, as always, reach out to us. This is Leverage Credit Recovery. That's our website, Linktree. That is a perfect understanding. It puts all of our beautiful content and other special things that we also equally share with you into one little format. You can scroll through it and you can choose at your will. It's a great, great understanding. We've made that our new website, but you can also go to leveragecreditrecovery.com and you can see the website. Email is leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. By all means, send us an email and then send us a telephone, text us, whatever it is that you do to get in contact with us. 805-428-9424. Once again, that's 805-428-9424. And as always, folks, this is one of our pride and joys. We look forward to making even more of an impact this year. And thank you to the Yonkers Public Library. They have granted us the ability to do Saturday shows starting at 12 noon in the Tech Center. We're going to be talking about a variety of different topics. We're going to be bringing in a bunch of experts who equally know their lane and how they can address that. But this Talk Finance with an Expert series is doing phenomenal. And I can't thank Yonkers Public Library for granting us the space and the computer room or the tech center to do what we do best. And lastly, but not least, is that social media presence. We're out there. We're on TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're all over. Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, Snapchat, you name it. Like us, follow us, join us, get that knowledge, get that understanding. Share that information equally as well, because it's going to benefit. It's going to help you all. It's going to help us. The presence of us is only going to make sure that we make sure that you are full engaged, fully involved in what you have to do. And if you do what you need to do, you're going to be fine. You're going to be successful. You're going to have every fortitude that you need to be able to get to that next level. This is always one of my most impressive and wonderful parts of my day, which is Tuesday. I love every day. I appreciate every day because it allows for me to do what I do best, which is information. All I am is an information source. I tell my students this all the time. My job is just to give you information. It's to convey the importance of what you are going to have to do every single day to be successful. And you can have one day where you can be in the lull and when you can be down. I take my one day a month, one day where I'm just out of it. And that's my one day. But for the rest of those, whether it be 28 or 29, well, 28, excuse me, yes, 28 or 29 or 30, doesn't matter. I take my one day and I leave that one day for myself. But those other days, I am productive and I'm out there doing what I need to be doing, because the United States has close to 340 million people. I don't need all of them. I'm not here to compete with anybody. I'm here to share in that success, because if we do it together collectively, we focus on, if I focus on Yonkers, New York, guess who's going to be better off for it? Yonkers, New York. And then as we branch out to the neighboring communities, we're talking to our partners in other areas as well. So let's all get on board with this 2023 recovery, because it's all about us, you, the community, the neighborhood. Let's do what we need to do prior to 2024, next electoral cycle. And there's going to be some great news coming down the pipeline about your new chair of the Economics Development Committee, Tyrone Glover, here in Yonkers, Unit 2188. I'm going to be doing some fantastic things, folks. I'm going to be doing some things that is going to, again, put my name on the map, put Yonkers back on the map. And my job is to make sure that we can create another whole dynamic and dimension of what we lost when it came to Black Wall Street. Thank you, everybody, for the time. Thank you, everybody, for the commitment every single Tuesday that you're back and you're viewing and you're understanding. And I'm glad I was able to do this show yet again for you because the requests kept coming down the pipeline from my students and also from some of the adults that I get the pleasure of viewing and meeting with as well. I appreciate you all. Happy Valentine's Day. But again, love the loved ones, but love yourself most importantly. Be safe, America.